All right, guys, today out here on the Raider Ranch, it's the Raider D, and we're going to be talking about Pete Carroll and John Spytek and some things that they said yesterday in Indianapolis as they are getting ready to scout some players in the combine, and some things that they said and things that they didn't say, and why it makes a really big difference and gives us kind of a clue as to what they're thinking and how the makeup of this Raiders team is going to look after the draft and the free agency. And we're going to talk about some things that they didn't say as well. So let's get into it. But before we do, guys, if you've been here before and you like the content, why haven't you subscribed? Because over 54% of you keep coming back and looking, but you're not buying. Hit that subscribe button and help us get to 12,000 subscribers. Appreciate you so much. Also, don't forget to hit that like button while you're doing it, because that tells the algorithm that you actually like what you're hearing. All right, guys, let's talk about first John Spytek in his press conference. Now, if you haven't seen it, a quick synopsis is he's basically given an overview of how he's going to be as the GM. He quoted some, his time in Denver, his time in Tampa Bay, the guys that he's learned from, his philosophy. One of the most important things that he said is that he doesn't get into a strict, narrow draft philosophy of you always have to take best player available or you always have to draft for need. In fact, what he said is if you get stuck in one of those thoughts, one of those mindsets, then you end up wishing you had drafted somebody else. So if you draft for need, what tends to happen is you end up drafting guys too high. And instead, if you're always drafting best player available, then maybe you don't fill out your roster properly. So it's a mix with him. What he's going to look at, from what I gather from what he said when he does this draft, after consulting with Pete Carroll and Chip Kelly and Patrick Graham, and evaluating the players that we have now and the players that we can draft in the free agency, he is going to draft the best player available unless there's a best player available for our need that's not drafted too high. If he feels like this player could be drafted at pick 6 and won't be there in the second round, then he'll draft them if it's a need. And so, i.e. need, we're talking about most likely quarterback or running back, because those are two of our biggest needs right now on the offensive side of the ball. So you could realistically see him draft a Shedeur Sanders or a Cam Ward if they were in fact to fall to the Raiders at pick number 6, because it is a position of need. Now, why do I say that? Well, because he also stated that as the quarterback room, as it stands right now, we got some players and they've shown some things. He talked about Aiden showing some things. Hasn't really evaluated Carter Bradley, hasn't seen much from him yet, but we'll take a look at him. But he's going to, all options are on the table right now in regards to the free agency and the draft. And so what he's looking for, what he is saying right now is that he's not impressed with our quarterback room enough to say, Gardner Minshew, he's the dude, he's the starter, we don't need to draft a quarterback, he's our franchise quarterback. Obviously not. In fact, more than likely, Gardner Minshew is not going to be with the team post June 1st. Aiden O'Connell, he's not saying, that's my guy, he's the starting quarterback, he's the franchise guy. We're going all in on Aiden O'Connell, because he basically said that we're going to look in the free agency at the quarterbacks. We're going to look in the draft at the quarterbacks, and we're going to bring in some more guys, and it's going to be a competition. Now, if you were to go and make a trade for Matthew Stafford, it's not a competition. He's your guy. If you were to go and, bring in Sam Darnold on a $35-40 million a year contract, he's your guy. Not even a competition. But there's another guy also that's going to be an unrestricted free agent that the Raiders apparently have some interest in, according to Vincent Bolsignor, that is Zach Wilson, a former second overall draft pick to the New York Jets in 2022. Now, in college at BYU, this dude had an amazing, almost 74% completion rate. Broke records there. Did a fantastic job. But got to the Jets and floundered horribly. Went to Denver. Lost the job to Bo Nix. He is now going to be an unrestricted free agent. Denver declined to do his fifth-year option. Okay, so could Zach Wilson come in? Remember, this dude is much like Sam Darnold, got chewed up and spit out by New York, and then goes to a team where he excelled and had the year of his career in Minnesota. Could Zach Wilson be that guy? Because I'm telling you right now, Zach Wilson right now you could get for maybe $7 million a year and make it a competition. The dude has ability. He just hasn't been able to put it together with the right organization. So all of these things are in play right now. And I think what John Spytek was saying is when it comes to the quarterback, they're not set. They're not set. So let's make sure that we're 100% sure on this by listening to the GM when he literally says all options are on the table in the quarterback room. And we're going to bring in more quarterbacks. And it's going to be a competition. So we're back in competition mode again. And therefore, Aiden O'Connell has to bust his butt again to prove that he can be a starter. Because right now, apparently, John Spytek's not buying that Aiden O'Connell is the franchise quarterback. So I'm wishing the best for the kid. We'll see what John Spytek does in that regard. But yeah, quarterback room is wide open. But let's talk about Max Crosby. He also mentioned Max Crosby because it was brought up in the press conference. And he basically said that Max Crosby is the embodiment of the Raiders, and he looks for the Max Crosby to be a Raider for a very long time. He wasn't going to get into the specific details of their negotiations of a contract extension, but he is looking for him to be a Raider for a long time. Now, he's not letting it out the bag, but from what I understand, from what insider sources have said, the Raiders have no intention of letting Max Crosby walk. They have no intention of trading him. He is the best player on this team. He is the heart and soul of this team. And so you have to build around a superstar defensive end like that by adding and upgrading more to that defensive line, secondary, and the offense. We need to start winning games. And so I don't think that you let him go. I think that you're going to keep him, and that's pretty much what John Spytek was saying as far as the details and negotiations and stuff of that, of his contract extension, more guaranteed money, all of that stuff. That's in the works. But my hunch is that they're going to Max and they're saying, listen, we want you to continue to be the leader of this team, and we are all in on you and this defense and upgrading the offense, but you've got to give us salary cap room. You've got to give us the option to go out and get more guys. And I think that you could do a 2-year contract extension onto him, make him a $93 million deal, put the guaranteed money on the back end, and you go out and you upgrade this roster. That's what it appears that John Spytek is doing. And if you contrast that with what Pete Carroll is saying, he's pretty much on the same page. Max Crosby is a one-of-a-kind dude. He is an extremely talented and driven leader of this team, and he's unstoppable out there on the field, and we're not going to let him go. This was the kind of the gist that we got from both Coach Carroll and John Spytek, the GM, in regards to the two most important positions on this team right now. And that is in regards to the quarterback situation and Max Crosby and that defensive line. I think that both are going to get upgraded this year. I don't know who it's going to be. There's a lot of names on the table. Sam Darnold's on the table. Zach Wilson is a possible that you bring in on a cheap deal. Maybe a Matthew Stafford trade is up in the air. That's a possibility, but I really don't see that happening. Maybe a trade up to grab a quarterback. But listen, if you trade up in this draft class, last year was the year to trade up. This draft class is not a year to trade up. I'm not all in on Shedeur Sanders. I don't think that he is a superstar quarterback. I don't think we're going to be having a playoff run in his rookie year like a Jaden Daniels. I'm also not buying Cam Ward as being that guy. I think Cam Ward has the bigger upside. I think Cam Ward has the stronger arm. I think Cam Ward has the more athleticism. I think Cam Ward has the bigger playmaking ability. But does Cam Ward have that superstardom in him that Jaden Daniels has? I'm not seeing that level. But he is definitely a very good quarterback, and I wouldn't be mad if the Raiders drafted him and made him our franchise quarterback and see what we get. But he could just as easily end up being a Jameis Winston. And so could Shedeur Sanders. To be honest with you, if Shedeur Sanders' last name was Mitchell or something, I don't see Shedeur going in the first round. I see him being talked about the same realm as a Jackson Dart, a Dylan Gabriel. Second round guys. So we'll have to see what the Raiders are going to do. It's very interesting. But I do want to thank the sponsors of this channel, Xbox Go, as well as Vtoman. Guys, check the links out below. Check them out. It's awesome. If you need solar panels, go to Vtoman. If you want a smart AI, robotic AI cameraman like I have with Xbox Go, go and check them out as well. Really cool products, great prices. Love them. Thank you guys for being sponsors and believers in the channel. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and the like button. And guys, I will see you in the next Raider video.